When it comes to comic books, the rule of cool is very, very real. The first thing that readers are going to take note of isn't your combat skills or your pithy one-liners, but it's going to be what you're wearing. And your costume has to make some level of practical sense as well. After all, there's nothing stopping you from dressing in neon tights and Jeff Hardy Hot Topic mesh tops, but if your name is Captain Subtle or One with the Night or something like that, then you're not really branding yourself consistently. Now, don't get me wrong, you can have utterly outlandish concepts if you're a villain, but they have to still make sense. Take Mysterio's outfit for instance. It's a fishbowl helmet, a skin-tight suit, and a cape. Does it look crazy? Obviously. But it also makes sense because he's trying to create the illusion of abilities with special effects. And having an out-of-this-world, over-the-top look, it helps blind people to the obvious. See? Clever. However, the characters on this list, well, they might be locked up by our favourite superheroes and the fashion police. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 least practical supervillain designs. Number 10. The Designer. For a name like The Designer, his costume is pretty poorly designed. For a start, there is a lot going on. Pirate-style boots, camo pants, a cape that is so long that it pulls around his feet as if trying to trip him up, a button-up shirt that is also somehow a loincloth, a tie, a load of bling. Seriously, my eyes are so confused right now, and that's not even to mention the fact that he has no eye holes himself. Now, it's common for villains to go over the top with their costumes, but here, the designer's clothes, they just don't match his motives at all. The Riddler, for example, has clothing that reflects his intentions, but what about this reflects the designer's skills for planning crimes really, really well? Maybe it's meant to be that he spent too much time studying and that he forgot to wash his clothes and that this was all he had left. But it doesn't even look comfortable in the slightest, and should he run foul of any hero, he is likely going to trip himself up in the chaos. Project Runway would definitely have something to say about this. Number 9. Calypso. As a Haitian voodoo priestess, or mambo as they're known, one might expect Calypso to be wearing some sort of variation of a covering, white blouse and skirt or dress, which would be much more traditional. However, in the comics, she was depicted as wearing a costume reminiscent of Kraven the Hunter, her ex-lover. Now, as an homage to the man who committed suicide in one of the most powerful story arcs Marvel has ever done, it's fine. However, when it comes to practicality, it's next to useless. Calypso's outfit consists of a torn-up leopard-printed loincloth and a top with a lion's face on it whose eyes are strategically placed over her nipples. Now, she's a witch that seduces gods for their powers, so a sexy look is understandable, it's fine, it's good, I like it. But the issue is here, that when performing her magic, her torn-up skirt is so easily whipped up around her that she always has to be drawn in silhouette so as not to fully flash the readers. Anyone in the scene with her wouldn't be as lucky though, and would definitely be getting an eyeful. It's very impractical, right? But then again, maybe the distraction works to her advantage, and to be honest, I'd totally flash my scrote to Spider-Man if he was ever getting on my case. Yeah, maybe there's something in this one. Number 8. Kite Man. Introduced in Batman number 133, Kite Man was a villain that was played entirely straight despite being utterly ridiculous. Here he used kites not only for a hasty getaway, but to drop bombs on unsuspecting crowds. Over time, though, Kite Man became a comedic villain used as a bit of a punching bag. He was then reinvented in Batman Rebirth as a pathos-filled father with a soon-to-be-murdered son who is trapped in a no-win game between Batman, the Joker, and the Riddler. Talk about whiplash writing, right? And yet, no matter what melodrama or comedy he's in, his costume has stayed the same, and his power, it's still just kites. And you know what? He's missing a really obvious trick here. If your power is to be able to be pretty good at hang gliding, then don't make your costume the brightest thing around and draw attention to you at all times. Be more subtle and you might be more successful. Plus, the costume is totally impractical when it comes to sticky landings as well, as is shown in Hawkman issue number 4 when Kite Man crashes into a tree and is too tangled in its branches to escape. Number 7. Asbestos Lady. Yep, that's her name. Anyway, in Captain America Comics issue number 63, Asbestos Lady gets her origin story. The year was 1947. It was a gentler time when no one understood the dangers of asbestos, and the Torch and Toro are up to such quaint activities as watching the brutal hanging of a man that they'd helped arrest. Yeah. Because everyone is distracted by the, as the comic puts it, high pitch of excitement of another man being hung, no one notices another spectator in the crowd, the dead man's sister. It is in these moments of watching her brother's death that Victoria decides to take revenge against the Human Torch. And what does she use to help her battle a man who is literally on fire? An outfit made of asbestos. And it's not just the poisonous substance that's the issue. The mask itself has got eye holes which fire would definitely get into. I really don't need to say any more about why this is a bad design. Number 6, typeface. Gordon Thomas first stepped onto the streets as his alter ego Typeface in Peter Parker Spider-Man number 23, and made quite the impression when he attacked a group of hoodlums and stole a pair of their pants. Suffering from PTSD, Typeface's outfit reflects his military roots, with camo trousers and some sort of load-bearing vest worn bare-chested. Oh, and he also has a ton of letters on his face. It's funny, I forgot to mention that. And the letter R, which means retribution, is so prominent on his head. For those wondering, Typeface has no superpowers whatsoever, and his costume seems to be designed to actually undermine what little strengths he has. While the lack of face coverings does show off his alphabet-y spaghetti art, it also puts him at risk of inhaling blowback on his own Scrabble tile-shaped smoke bombs. And I mean, going shirtless is also unwise for somebody who has sharp metal-throwing letters hung across his chest, and the lack of protective gear is a pretty unfortunate choice for somebody who engages in hand-to-hand combat at all time and uses explosives at close range. In short, you can sum up this outfit with the letters N and O. Number 5, Lady STILT-MAN. So to be brutally honest, Lady STILT-MAN is a B-list villain at best with little backstory, and she's only shown up in about a dozen or so issues, starting with Amazing Spider-Man number 611. Her costume is obviously a knockoff of STILT-MAN's, or as she puts it, an homage, and at first glance it actually doesn't appear that bad. She has full body covering armor, a metal mask, and flexible hydraulic legs that can extend her to great heights. The problem with her design becomes pretty apparent, however, in her first battle with Spider-Man. Trying to focus on an in-the-air battle while her feet are stomping about miles below her puts her at a definite disadvantage, and her easy defeat comes from the hands of Deadpool, who simply removes a sewer grate. With a startled cry of, "Oh my god, where's the ground?" Lady STILT-MAN is quickly immobilized, one of her stilts plunging down the sewer, causing her to topple over into a pile of useless metal limbs. Brilliant. Number 4, Ruby Thursday. Ruby is introduced in issue 33 of The Defenders as the soon-to-be newest member of the Headmen, or Head People, with her involved would be. And yet, it does appear as if Ruby has taken the head part of that name of the group rather literally. Her outfit consists of a popped collar, leotard, gloves, boots, and most importantly, what looks like to be a round red ball where her head should be. In actuality, her head is an organic computer that she invented that is made out of some sort of malleable plastic that can reform itself into anything she wants. So why the hell does she only put it over her face? Why not her arms or her whole body? Because being able to reform to anything sounds pretty bloody useful. Instead, she leaves her very squishy body susceptible to being beaten up, all while her ball head probably will bounce happily along. Brilliant. Number 3, White Rabbit. She's a rabbit. Number 2, the Grizzly. Max Markham was once a famous wrestler called the Grizzly. Now Jameson, Peter Parker's boss, watched a wrestling match once and decided that the Grizzly's fighting style was way too violent. So Jameson began a series of articles attacking the man's character. Well, apparently it was so effective that Max had his license revoked and then reveals that this beef was just a way to sell papers. My god, that is such a move. That is it any wonder that Max wants to destroy the Daily Bugle? Not in the slightest, right? It's just a bit of a shame that he does it while dressed up in the carcass of a real-life bear, which does have an exoskeleton built inside of it to make him super strong. This, by itself, is fine because it's very thematic and wrestlers love that sort of guff, but it's also terribly made. The thing falls apart when Spider-Man starts to rip the suit. Why is it so flimsy? Why is it not the case that the suit is draped over the skeleton rather than stitched into the suit? I tell you what, it was pretty unbearable. And number 1, CODPIECE. An early pioneer of, let's just say, some horrible subsets of the internet, CODPIECE started out as a young man convinced that his bad luck with women wasn't because of his terrible personality, but because of the size or lack thereof of his junk. Even when given a cheering up by a peppy sex worker who tells him that it takes all kinds and encourages him not to get so hung up on his insecurities, he only hears insults. So he decides to take matters into his own hands by making himself into the supervillain CODPIECE in issue number 70 of Doom Patrol. His outfit is actually rather fitting of his new name, with the main focus of his suit being the exaggerated codpiece that contains all sorts of villainous weaponry like a rocket launcher and a boxing glove. Unfortunately for CODPIECE, his outfit is also just a big old advertisement of his own securities, which allows him to be easily taken down by his emotional weakness. And also, just as a side note, have you ever tried shooting from your... Most blokes can't even hit the bloody toilet if you're going to judge the floors at a nightclub, so how the hell is he going to be combat effective? And also just looks like a... And there we go, those were the 10 least practical supervillain designs. I hope that you enjoyed that, my friends, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. And if you want to chat to me further about comics, movies, TV, video games, wrestling, anything else, you can do so over at Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.